And just like that, y'all hear me producing? I'm getting in my bag, baby. And just like that, the Cowboys Collective is back. What is this? Episode 21.
What you produce? What you produce? Did I see these out or something? Did I miss something? What you produce?
Hey, AOC, listen. You don't hear it?
All I hear is air opportunity, sir.
I thought y'all hear the air horn? Oh, that's crazy.
No, sir. Yeah. I was wondering what you was talking about yesterday, man. He's skitzing out or something. I didn't know what you had.
Oh, man. You know what? We'll have that fixed for the next one. Because I don't know. Hold on. Wait a minute. I don't like that AOC. I'm looking crazy. Anyway.
You are.
Anyway, it was a very eventful day in Cowboys land. We know kind of the breaking news, but we actually had a big show planned for y'all as far as like to get to some of Brian Schottenheimer's comments. He talked for, what was that, 30 minutes, and he said some great stuff. He hit on some nuggets in that conversation, but obviously we're here to talk about the Cowboys trading for quarterback prospect-esque, play some snaps, Joe Milton. John Machota, what are you hearing? How did this get done? And then we'll go around the room and get our thoughts, high level.
Yeah, if you go back to Sunday, looking back on the way Stephen Jones answered a question about if they were done, it was kind of funny because he was asked about the backup quarterback spot and what they've done so far. And the way the question was asked was, what about Trey? But it was asked quicker than that. I'm just focusing on Trey because the reporter was talking about Trey Lance still being out there. And Stephen responded by saying, yeah, trade's a way that could happen too. Like he didn't understand what he was saying. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I just figured he was talking about just trades in general, you know? But now looking at it, it's very clear that this is something that was being worked on when they were all in Florida as well. And so as much as they wanted to say that they were fine going into the draft with Will Grier as the backup and probably add somebody, you know, let's say with a 5th or 6th round pick, now they give up a 5th round pick and get Joe Milton in a 7th. And I do think it's a good move. I mean, I know I've seen some people talk about, they gave up a 4th for Trey Lance and that didn't work out, but you got to at least try. And I think this is a good investment considering it's not even like an early 5th round pick. It's one of their comp picks and they get a 7th in return. So you got Joe Milton for the next 3 years. He's a big quarterback. He's got mobility. He's got a big arm. So why not do that? Why not bring him in there and see what you got in him? So I think it's a good move for the Cowboys.
Law attack.
Oh well.
Let's go. This is what we'll do. Let's go around and what were your initial thoughts? And then we'll talk about like, what does this mean for the team? What does this mean for the draft? What does this mean for the future of the quarterback position? Which I know AOC doesn't want to hear me talk about it because he thinks I hate Dak. I don't hate Dak, but let's go around and get just our initial thoughts when we saw this happen.
Well, my initial thoughts were, I mean, this is the best backup quarterback I feel as far as like the season not feeling lost. If something happens, if worst case scenario happens, break glass in case of emergency, I feel like I would still have fun watching Joe Milton. And I think you wouldn't really know exactly how to project out the rest of that season, right? I think in years past, if anything happens to Dak, then we pretty much know we're going to have a bottom-of-the-league offense, and they're probably going to struggle and not go anywhere. I think with a Joe Milton, he has enough tools to make it interesting. It would still at least be a fun watch. It may go down in flames, but it would be a fun watch at least. So that's how I feel about the move. I like it. I mean, unless they plan on signing to a second contract, realistically speaking, we're not looking at Joe Milton as the future starting quarterback here, just based off of how his deal is constructed and Dak's deal, obviously. But I like it.
Most certainly. Just to echo what you're saying, this eliminate the possibilities, in my opinion, for the Cowboys to try to get a Quinn Ewers in this draft, right? So now you got somebody that you can always say, hey, he got the strong arm, the cannon. I seen this kid throw 90 yards down the field, Joe Milton. So I know for sure, John, I can't wait for you to get, that time when they go to Oxnard and they have this basketball hoop. Yeah. I want to see how many times he get close to it because he got the strong arm, but his accuracy is within questioning. So I don't know how many people will be able to catch the ball in the sidelines out there at Oxnard, John. It's going to be funny. But this is a good move in my opinion.
I just have to ask AOC this. I can't even. I was going to try and do it with a straight face, but I can't do it. So when this happened, you're not sitting there thinking about how this isn't part of Bruce in Cleveland doubling down on his Dak trade to the Browns post that he put out.
Seen that.
You guys have seen that, right?
I've seen that old crusty bastard earlier, man. Hey man, Bruce needs to go rub some Bengay all over his body and just relax. Okay, he needs to go ahead and hang it up, man. Bruce, come on, man. Him and Shady C. Turtle McCoy, both of them, man. It's out of control.
Yeah.
No, John, this is not a threat to Dak. We all know this isn't a threat to Dak. Let's be real, because Joe Milton is still a project. He was drafted in the 6th round for a reason, right? He was drafted in the 6th round for a reason. He didn't exactly burn the world up at Tennessee. He played well, but I mean, he was cool at Tennessee. I think a lot of Volunteer fans would tell you they probably wanted a better quarterback at that time, to be honest. So I like Joe Milton's traits. I like his traits and what he can do in an NFL ecosystem, right? And what those coaches can do once they get their hands on him. But as he is currently, he's not a threat to Dak.
No, that reason I bring it up, just in case anybody that's watching doesn't know what we're talking about, is a couple of weeks ago we did a show and we aired some clips of a radio host in Cleveland.
Don't even say his name.
Yeah, I won't. His name is OCB for the rest of the stream and for the rest of eternity. OCB, old crusty bastard. Go ahead. He said that he has sources telling him that the Browns were working on a trade for Dak Prescott, and then obviously he made it sound like that was about to happen. Now a couple of weeks have passed, and so I don't know if it was today or yesterday, whatever. But he was on his radio show and he doubled down and said that he's still hearing that it would be Dak. And Dak for the Browns' second round pick, which is at the top of the second round, and cornerback Greg Newsome. So yeah, he's dug in on that.
Yeah, he had the names and everything. I think I saw that, John.
Wow.
So me being the draft, you got something, ALC?
Nah, then he tried to, and I got a message directly for you, Cowboys. He trying to get some life. Yeah. Man. We're not gonna breathe life into the dude, man.
Before I get to Joe Milton, it was actually funny again to see how, like, it's honestly like if you're not smart enough, you will keep falling for the same stuff every time. Like, in all seriousness, to see reality TV shows, well, I call them reality sports shows.
Yeah, you was right. No, you're right.
Like, to make this was a headline. Like, and I think Dave Hellman, he said it best, like, why can't the Cowboys just make a solid move and everybody say, oh, that was cool? Like, Why does it have to be life or death? Like, because I'm gonna be honest, I watched Joe Milton really, he couldn't even get on the field in Michigan. And to AOC's point, at Tennessee, I probably got tweets out there calling Joe Milton the pumpkin. So if you guys pull him up, because he was, I mean, in that Tennessee offense where they play those wide splits, if anybody watches Tennessee, he wasn't really great, especially accuracy wise, and all they ran was tempo. But you watched him in the preseason this year, it was decent. Yeah. Like, he showed poise, and he showed he has the strongest arm in the league. Like, it's an incredible arm. And he looks the part, true 6'4", 6'5". And he would benefit if he could sit behind Dak for 2 years, and then you come back and you just look at the quarterback
Geno
position.
Smith situation.
Exactly, AOC.
Yeah.
He won't have a lot of wear and tear on his body. And I think that if he could do that, I think that you'd be okay. The issue for me is not the issue, but the great thing for me is I'm elated that I don't have to see Cooper Rush anymore. Like, that was my whole.
You went from a noodle on to a bazooka, basically.
Man, bro, I'm just so happy. I don't want to see Cooper Rush.
Yeah, now instead of throwing the ball 5 feet in front of the receiver, it's gonna be in the stands.
Hey, bro,
it's gonna be.
Watch your hands,
take it, bro. I take it, but I just didn't want to see Cooper Rush, bro.
After the game, boy.
Man.
Hey, round of applause to Big Sarge, man. I see him. He says, AOC, guess what? I'm back.
You know what? That's actually funny because, hey, Big Sarge, that lets us know we doing our job, man. So, all right, now let me ask you this. How, does this change the draft? Like, would you guys still draft a quarterback? You guys probably know my thoughts, but would you guys still take a quarterback?
I mean, they have 75 picks, but still, no, I wouldn't. I don't think it's worth it now. Go use. I mean, I'm fine with bringing in like an undrafted rookie free agent as your fourth quarterback that you go to Oxnard with, but you don't need to. I think this move also is a little bit about. I mean, Brian Schottenheimer talked about this a little bit this week, where it's like you kind of marry the free agency with the draft, and
right.
This tells me a lot about what they think about this quarterback class, you know, and I don't think that they like anything that's going to be there. I mean, there's teams out there that probably don't like any of the quarterbacks in this draft all the way to the top. You know, it's not a good quarterback draft. And so I think that's why you make a move like this. Also, with making a move like this, just another one of my things I like to point out is for all those rumors and things that people put out there about Cowboys getting this player, getting that player, whatever. Like, I just go back to like, no smoke before this one. No smoke before Kenneth Murray. No smoke before Kyrie Elam. No smoke before Stephon Gilmore. No smoke before Brandon Cooks. No smoke before Amari Cooper. I mean, I'm just like, when the deal gets done, there's never these guys that people are like, could the Cowboys be in on LaDainian Tomlinson? Like, how many years have we had to hear these over and over again?
Over again.
That's just producers filling set time, man. That's not like necessarily coming from anybody of note, because they're like, hey, we got to fill a segment. It's kind of a slow, news day. What about this free agent for the Cowboys, And, and I've noticed the other part that feeds into this, and I'm guilty of this, and I've gotten better with not tweeting these out, but, like other reporters and myself, we get these odds sent to us all the time on these free agents, like these Vegas odds on like the teams that they could sign with. Man, like the Cowboys are like, I feel like they're in the top 5 for every possible guy that's a free agent. I mean, it doesn't matter how unlikely it is. So it is interesting how they do a good job of really the players they end up making moves for. You really don't hear anything about until they're done.
Facts. Yeah, I think so. When you look at free agency as a whole, I don't know if this is an egg. Is this an egg smasher?
No.
You talking about Joe Milton?
I mean, he ain't even started. No.
I don't think there's anybody that's left that would be. Yeah. It would have to be a trade.
If free agency,
that Garrett Wilson.
It have to be a trade.
Like
yeah.
I just don't think there's anybody left, like free agency wise or anything like that. But if they made like a move or like they gave like second or third round pick for somebody of note, I think I mean that would be a possibility.
Save me, Jared.
So come on, no, AOC, get ready.
Save me, Jared.
Hey, AOC, just get ready because you're gonna have to go ahead and smack that egg.
Absolutely
on
not.
That head,
Absolutely
man,
not. I'm gonna make you crack into your beard, so you gotta cut that bug off.
Yes, indeed.
Feel like a cursed James Harden picture.
AOC.
I think too. So when you look at what was given up, you guys want to talk about that because I think that like Jerry
They
deserves
made
a little bit of
great
credit.
move. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as we sit here, we crapped on giving a fourth up for Trey Lance and a fourth up for Jonathan Mingo all year long. Man, they got a backup quarterback with some real tools, real toolkit, and a 7th round back in exchange for a comp 5th. Come on, man. That's a steal right there. You can't get mad at that at all, bro. And they still got 2 5th rounders left. You can't get mad at that. And they got like 3 7ths now, which they're gonna use to trade for somebody, by the way. I'm calling it right now. Remember this episode.
That's what I was gonna say, AOC. I think with the draft compensation, I just don't think Dallas stays stagnant in the draft.
No,
and I wanna after we kind of put a bow on this, I want to ask you about a few names because there are names that I would love to move up for. In this
we need
draft.
to talk about what Shotty was talking about though, because Shotty was cooking, man.
So what were the? I know AOC. You and John do the best of like finding out the little nuggets. I got a few. Like I'll tell you this, he keeps talking about development with these athletes.
What did I tell y'all
plan
a week ago? A week or two. Didn't I say this was a develop and evaluate season, and this whole entire coaching staff was brought here because they're great player developers? Didn't I make an entire soliloquy about that on one of these episodes, bro? And then Brian Schottenheimer came out and said exactly that.
You did. Yeah, I think the 1-2 guys is Guyton, and that's why I've told fans like I just don't appreciate the thought that Guyton's a bust. I went back and I forget what game I went back and watched. That's getting my. But I was looking at Guyton, and outside of the false starts, and possibly he wasn't that bad. Like people acting like he's Chaz Green, and I think that's because they didn't want the pick in the first place. John, nobody wanted that pick. Everybody in the community, he's not that good. He has only played 9 games, and I'm telling you, players can feel that. Players can feel when the fan bases, and they shouldn't be listening, but what I always, same way AOC will make a soliloquy about development, I always say these kids are on Twitter. Like they live in this world. They can't stop. They're not going to. And so I just felt like the fan base was just like, but every time I hear Guyton talk, every time I hear Brian Schottenheimer talk about Guyton, it's like, I don't know where you guys are getting that from, but we have a development plan for him, and he's in the fold. And you brought in Adams and the new O-line coach for a reason. So that's what I took a lot from it. But what you guys take from his Brian Schottenheimer's talks?
I'll say one small nugget I heard. There's a couple of small nuggets, but I'll start with, he said that Brock Hoffman he feels could start at right guard for a entire 17-game season. He said he wouldn't doubt the Hoff, and if he was in the back of a bar or back of an alley or something like that, he would bring Brock Hoffman with him. So I don't think the Cowboys are as down on that right guard position as others may think. And unless they make a substantial move, man, I mean, he's in line to be the starting right guard.
And he should be. Like, my thing is, what if somebody in the chat, who has 3 first-round picks on their O-line and like a second round? Like, what line
The
has
Eagles
that?
don't even have it.
What line? Yeah, they developed.
They got like 2 first. They got like a first rounder, like a couple seconds, and then they don't even have like a bunch of first rounders on their offensive line, bro. I already did this leg work. The Cowboys would be the only team in the last like 20 years that would pick that would use.
Did his leg work.
Yeah, I did this like I did a show on this, a whole show on this like a month ago, bro. The Cowboys would be the only team in the last 20 years, bro, that would pick like 3 first round offensive linemen in this close consecutively. Like you just can't do that, man. You can't blow that many premium first round picks on the line.
You got something, John?
I think the Lions do.
The Lions.
Penei Sewell, first round pick.
Yeah.
Frank Ragnow, their center, is a first round pick, and then I'm pretty sure that
Is it the right
Did they
guard?
trade for him though, or
no. And then what's his name? The right tackle, Taylor
Decker.
Taylor Decker, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Is he a first rounder?
Could be wrong.
Wow.
He was, 16th. I mean, this goes back to 2016, though. I mean, Decker was a first round pick in 2016. So I mean,
okay. So that was like, I mean, that don't count, man. I'm talking like a 5-year stretch, though, man. This would be like 3 in a 5-year stretch for us.
They're all really good, though. So that's the only reason why I'm bringing them up. I mean,
They are
the 3 best offensive linemen, you know.
You know
The Lions suck, John.
The Lions are one and done Lions. Okay?
Yeah, the one and done Lions.
Hey, watch this. Hold on, watch this. Me and John might fight a little bit here because I'm actually this is going to be good for the Cowboys too, Law. This is why if because everybody loves what's the coordinator's name that just went to the
Ben Johnson.
I
haven't liked anything I've heard from bro.
I was about to say, so they love Ben Johnson, right? He should have been the head coach, blah blah whatever. So if he's worth his weight in gold, he will draft an O lineman at 10 or whatever. When
because if they get agency.
They did, John, but they got Joe Thuney's 33. That would be like bringing in Zach Martin. Like
it's just different situation. It's different situations because you don't need that great of an offensive line with the way Caleb Williams plays. You need a great offensive line.
I disagree. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can finish.
Yeah, let him finish. Let's go plan.
You're not even in the same bracket when you talk about Caleb Williams' mobility and what Jared Goff is. Like, he had to have an outstanding offensive line in front of Jared Goff. I'm not saying that Caleb Williams he can just go in front. We saw Patrick Mahomes needs an offensive line, and he might be the greatest quarterback that's ever played. So I'm not saying you don't need an offensive line. I'm saying you don't need as good of a Jared Goff. I can make the argument Jared Goff, to be successful, needs the best offensive line in football more than really almost any other quarterback. Because if you just get a little bit of pressure, his play drops dramatically down.
Hey, but John, so I just want to push back respectfully, but Caleb wasn't good last year. And
it needs to get better. Well, I mean, it's not like that. I mean, the Bears need to get better themselves.
So my point was, like, this is my point, John. And I see what you're saying for sure.
I thought the Bears was supposed to. I mean, they had an amazing free agency, and everybody
that's what I'm saying.
They would have been fine if they played in a lot of other divisions. But I'm saying to compete in that division, that meat grinder, that's the best division in football. Like, they were not on that level to compete with those teams.
Well, Minnesota and Detroit. Well, the problem was this, John, but it goes back to the team. So the reason why I'm tying this into the draft is because the Bears pick 10. San Francisco picks 11. Yeah. They're not taking a running back with a skill. Yeah,
San Fran is going to get O-line or D-line.
It goes back to what you said. You just said Ben Johnson came from Detroit. They had first rounders all over that line. Just because they hit it in free agency, that does not mean that the Bears can say, oh, I'm going to pass on. Just name whoever you think, Will Campbell or, the Mizzou kid. If you pass on that for a Joe Thuney, is that smart, John? I don't think so.
Man, Kevin Williams was out there having psychological breaks.
I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised with a guy like that passing an offensive lineman because he wants another offensive toy. I mean, that dude wants to outscore everybody. That's his whole
But
thing.
But him and what's his name, bro? Man, what is that goofy GM's name? I saw him at the Senior Bowl. Like, bro, they literally did the exact same thing. Yeah.
Ryan
Poles. Yeah. They literally they said, oh yeah, we're just gonna pass on the offensive line and draft Rome Odunze because we think Caleb is the next best John Elway. And what happened? It was flames.
I meet y'all in the middle. Bears going Tyler Warren.
That might be a I saw somebody put that in the chat.
I'm about to say that. Just said it. I'm about to say Bears going Tyler Warren. I like it.
The Bears have to, and they actually need defensive end help as well. So
the Bears collectives.
No, this is definitely the Bears. This ain't the Bears. Actually, I'm trying to get. Well, what I'm trying to do, Law, I'm trying to get Ashton Genty to us. That's what I'm trying to do.
I see your angle.
I'm trying my hard. You know where I'm going.
I know where you're going.
But no, so
it do make sense though.
Well, yeah. Do you want Ashton Genty, or do you want to let's go back to the segment we're talking about? Do you want Ashton Genty, or you want to believe everything that Brian Schottenheimer said?
Shoddy said outside in.
Shoddy, it doesn't sound like he's that interested.
He said outside in.
Yeah,
he said outside in.
Outside in to me is the biggest headline thing that came out of what he talked about.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, John Machota?
Wide receiver.
IOC? What does that mean to you?
I mean, unless they make a trade for a wide receiver.
Does that mean corner, John?
No, that's a possibility, but it seems like wide receiver would really be.
I don't see them doing corner, man, because even when he talked about that, he didn't say interceptions. He said sack fumbles, forced fumbles, or touchdowns. That's what he said as far as a first-round pick and having a game changer. He said a guy's going to score touchdowns or get you sacks or strip fumbles or something like that. So I don't know if they're looking at blowing a first rounder on a corner, man. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know, man. I feel like you could get a really good one in the second. I feel like
Well,
you could get a good one in the third.
I think it also has to do with who the players are in that draft class. You can say whatever you want, but every draft class is so different. And if there was a corner that's like on a Jalen Ramsey type level at 12,
of course,
they'll take out anything that they were saying about that. You know, to be honest with you, if there was a corner, I think on that level of the draft, in Micah's draft, when they wanted to take a corner, I think if one of them are there, they would take J.C. Horn.
I would say they were going to, weren't they? I would say weren't they going to? That's why they traded back because I think the Panthers and the Broncos wiped them out right before them.
Yeah. But I don't think that any of these corners are on that level. But now if they draft one at 12, they will say it is. You know, they will say
They flip the story.
Yeah. But no, to me, he said outside in, and I saw it.
I can see defensive end too.
Because people are thinking that, you know, well, no, that's wrong because you got to build from the trenches out. And I'm not, it's not, he's not saying that he doesn't care about that stuff. He knows the offensive line's important. He knows the defensive line's important, but he's talking about like those premium positions. And I completely agree with like the guys that you should be willing to pay big money for are your number one receiver, a shutdown corner, obviously your franchise quarterback, edge rusher, and left tackle.
Yep. Straight up, all the outside in players. I mean, that's funny, man. Hey, that was a great breakdown.
It could be an entendre, you know, outside, you know, far as edge rusher to the interior.
Right.
So he got so many ways you can
But that's crazy. That is all the premier positions, right, Law? That's crazy if you really think about it like that. The outside in, and we hear this trenches so much, but really breaking it down to that nuance, that's interesting. That really is.
Let's play a game. We're gonna do either or, and we'll talk about a few draft picks, and we'll do headliners, so we won't get too deep in the woods, and we'll let the. So since we're going with
the
this,
fourth or fifth, I'm gonna just shut the hell up.
Well, since we're going with this outside in vibe, and I think John, that was a great segue, like AOC said. Edge is in play. AOC, I think you're right about that. I'm gonna give you guys two athletes. And I'm going to say either or. Okay. I'm going to start with AOC. AOC, James Pierce or Will Johnson?
James Pierce.
Why?
Because I think you put James Pierce next to Michael Parsons, that makes Kyer Elam and everybody else that's on that outside boundary, that makes their jobs 1,000 times easier because that clock gets very, very small for the quarterback back there. So I think you add James Pierce to our D line, man, your trenches on the defensive side of the ball are pretty much addressed outside of a one tech at that point. So it's like, you good.
Outside in,
yeah. I would have to say I agree with you 1,000%. So can I just go on a James Pierce rant real quick, AOC?
Go ahead.
I don't know if you followed me on Twitter when I said this, but I said him, and I like Michael Williams. So I know there's a lot of people in the community who don't. And we have loud voices in our community. So like when certain people start not liking a guy and everybody just throws him away. But I'm telling you, Michael Williams can play. Now, he doesn't have the sack numbers and it doesn't look like Micah. So people will say he's a defensive end that isn't worth the same as Michael, or we're used to sacks. We love sacks here, right? But I'm telling you, the way this kid, he has NFL strength. And remember, when Michael was drafted, he could not play the run. It was terrible. I'll never forget the first Washington game he played. They just ran right at him. Michael Williams would do that, but this isn't about Michael. It's about James Pierce. James Pierce last year was this year's Abdul Carter. So to start summer scouting last year, the DN that I had number one on my board was James Pierce. What happened was the sack totals went down, but to me, how he played the run and the physicality was better, AOC. He's physical. He's gritty. He turns speed to power. And oh, by the way, he was really outside of Omar Norman Lott. He was the only real like weapon on that Tennessee defense. Right. Over here, he won't be that. He would be in a rotation coached by Aaron Whitecotton, and he would be a true like AOC, a true weapon outside of Micah. He'd be in a rotation with Neal, and you don't know what you're going to get from Sam Williams. He's on the last year of his deal, and he hasn't been healthy, and so. That's a good one, AOC. Like,
you gotta get them doubles off Micah because I'm tired of us talking about double teams and all. Yeah, get them doubles off Micah, man.
Get them up off of them. Yeah.
Law Nation, that's a good one, AOC. Good stuff. Law Nation, have you watched Shamar Stewart?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's go. Shamar Stewart, dog, defensive end, went crazy at the combine. Or Jadae Barron. Take it away, Law Nation.
Which round are we talking?
First round, bro. Hey, Law, we talking. Hey, John, what do you think this is? This is 12, bro. This is you ain't. He trying to trade back, bro. 12. Let me tell you, Jadae Barron has a fan base at 12. Does he not, John?
Yeah.
People want this kid at 12.
Will Johnson, yeah.
Yeah. Look, AOC fighting him in the war room.
Hey, I'm trying to trade back and see if I can still get it today. I think that somehow the Cowboys should have somebody tags touching with him, and they should have movable space to trade back. But I'm going with Jadae over the Shamar Stewart.
Why?
Because we in desperate areas of need at cornerback over here, or defensive back in general. So I think that Jadae can answer at least two of my problems, because he can play the deeper thirds, he can play on the edge, and I think that he, in a sense, in the situation, he can cover the middle of the field pretty well. So yeah, he would at least check two boxes for me, and I don't have time for the other box to be checked with the other guy.
Man, I got to tell you, Law, that's a good one, especially because I like Jadae Barron in a Brian Branch role. I don't know if I even really like him as a true edge corner. So to AOC's point, I don't know if you could take him at 12, but he is good at football. He is a really good player. He's just, do I want to draft a 5'11", 185-pound corner or whatever he's light? I don't care what the
be a younger version. A younger version of J. Lou, basically.
Yeah, and higher upside.
I ain't trying to get J. Lou. I ain't trying to get J. Lou in the first round.
That's true.
I ain't trying to get J. Lou in the first round.
Coming out of college, J. Lou wasn't that bad. Now
I'm saying though, I'm not trying to replace J. Lou in the first round. You see what I'm saying? Like with this team and the way it's built, right? I am not trying to replace him in the first round. I'm trying to add something that we have not had in the first round.
Who's been the best slot DB in the last 5 years or such? 6.
Probably McDuffie. I mean, so you said the 5'6". You said 5'6", 5'6". Okay, last couple of years, I would say Trent McDuffie.
Trent might be the best corner in the because he plays on the edge too. Like Trent is a dog. To AOC's point, I think he's might be one of the best top 5 defensive player in the league. He is really good.
And all love to J. Lou, bro, but let's be real, bro. He really just started heating up this last year or two. Like the last 2 seasons is really where J. Lou kind of, I felt, started getting comfortable hitting his stride. Because before he was dealing with injuries and stuff, so he was on and off the field, and so it's not like he just been. Come on, man, he ain't been no first round pick type of player for us.
Yeah, no. I think I like what you're saying, Law. And this is our defensive version outside in, so I think that's good stuff. And you're not wrong. I'm gonna push back just a hair.
Okay, no.
Shamar Stewart, Law. I got to tell you. So everybody, and I've been meaning to say this too. We're gonna fight back on a few of these narratives because we got the platform to do so. John, the Mike Green stuff, I'm out. Because he's a defensive end that I think a lot of people see the high sack totals. Dude will not play the run year one. It just ain't gonna happen. He's light. He flies upfield. And you have to have a keen eye for watching that defensive end position as far as can you collapse a pocket? People will say, oh, he's rushing down the middle of somebody's face. No, he's pressing the pocket. That's another form of pressure. D-Law did that well. And he played and so with Shamar Stewart, the argument is always going to be he didn't have
donation nasty.
$2 for that? No, you still. Hey, yo, thank you for the $2, man.
I appreciate that too. That was a nasty $2, boy. With Stewart, man, I gotta say, him and Josh Farmer were the most active defensive players on the line when they went team at the Senior Bowl. As far as like disruptive, like you trying to run outside zone, that tackle's not getting that reach block on Shamar Stewart. He's just too big and physical. So I do think there is a world for a upgraded Chauncey Chauncey Golston.
Yeah, but you
Lo.
talking about Shamar Stewart. You talking about a guy that's going to be probably not even starting and giving you reps. You looking at Jade Barron, I think he'll be a day one. Shamar
Yeah.
Stewart, he won't be a day one.
I think
Somebody
so.
said refund
I
him.
saw that.
Refund that, man.
All right.
Kick him out the war room right now.
John
Check his
Machota.
credentials.
Yeah.
John Machota. Would you rather Michael Williams or from your hometown, Will Johnson?
So this is tough for me because while Steven did say that they wouldn't be out on an edge rusher in the first round, if they take an edge rusher at 12, man, that to me says a lot about what they think of Sam Williams and Marshawn Nealon, because you used pretty big time picks on both of them, and this should be their time. When you moved on from Lawrence, this should be their time. Plus, you got some insurance because you signed Dante Fowler. So I really don't like the looks of them going for a D end at 12. I think they would go corner there with Will Johnson because of the fact that, like, even if Marshawn Nealon and Sam Williams aren't up to whatever that your expectations are, it's got to be better what you're getting from them, what you're getting from. You basically have Deron Bland, Kyer Elam, and then a lot of question marks after that. So I think if you have to pick there, Williams might have the better upside, but I think that you got to take Johnson because they really need another starting corner, not just for this season, but you don't know what Trayvon Diggs is going to be with that knee injury. But I do think you can find your chances of finding an elite pass rusher after 12 are far less than you being able to find like a start. I mean, look at Deron Bland was a 5th round pick. How many like really elite edge rushers are you finding in the 5th round that just slid through the cracks all the way to the 5th round? Like there's just such a premium on the position. So if you're in love with any of them, then yeah, of course, take them at 12. You know, I mean, we would never have been talking about Micah Parsons at this point before that draft, and it ended up being one of the best picks in Cowboys franchise history.
Yeah,
Plus, I don't watch these guys as closely as you do. I lean so heavy on Dane Brugler and who's another one I look at a lot. Dane for sure is one. Daniel Jeremiah is another. Just because I know that they both have they could both easily be scouts for teams, and this is their job all year round. You know, like this is what they do all year round. And then the other part of it is I just know that they talk to a lot of teams. So there's just so many players over the years in talking, especially to Dane, about where you're like, yeah, you watch the tape on this guy and you love this and you love that and you whatever. But then you talk to some people, you're like, no, that guy's not a 1st round pick because he has this, and this. And the medicals say this, and this. And like a lot of that stuff never sees the light of day. But until after the draft starts, you're like, why is that guy still there in the 3rd? And then you find out later, like, well, there's a lot of other extra baggage that's there, plus this, plus that, you know, and they get a little bit of that information behind the scenes that they don't necessarily always share because they're not trying to make headlines going into the draft all the time by just, you know, ripping a kid and stuff like that. But they usually have pretty good lists that line up pretty good with what the NFL people have. So I lean on their stuff a lot more than I would do myself and my own scouting. I would say that.
I think that's good, John. I said it on show 1, and now that you pretty much feel like you're not going to reach for a quarterback at really any time. You know what, John? I like the point that you just made about getting a corner later, and the hit rate is more possible than getting like a dogged up DN. It's just.
I mean, Jordan Lewis was a 3rd round pick.
That was I think AOC's point.
Pick.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there's a better chance you get one of those guys. The thing with that Cowboys though is that they're so big on the traits and particularly the arm length and all of that. And so sometimes I think that kind of leads you into maybe reaching on a guy.
Or going mid-major.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean,
the one I'm thinking of when I'm talking about this is if you guys remember Reggie Robinson, that 4th round pick. I believe he was out of Tulsa.
I remember that pick.
But he never really
was
got
a terrible pick. Yeah.
But then you got big school, LSU to Kentucky, Kelvin Joseph, and that didn't work either. But they liked the measurables with him. They thought that was like the fit for what they wanted to do. So if you see any bigger corners, like I always like looking at Dane's mock draft, his draft guide for whoever the long arm 6 foot and above corners are. Those are the ones that they're. As long as Will McClay is there, that's what they will look. That's what they'll go after.
Okay.
I know Siobhan Ravel, his dad was posting pictures with him and Jerry, and he's a nice looking kid.
Judkins was here too.
Yeah.
Huh?
Judkins was here too.
He's a nice looking kid as well. Yep.
Yeah.
AOC, he looks the part, and we're gonna do some either on that side. But I remember, like you said, when you get in this draft, I remember last year a name that was tied to the Cowboys a lot, and he just kept falling because of the medical was Peyton Wilson. Ended up falling to Pittsburgh. He played pretty decent.
He played well for them too.
Yeah, he played decent. Yeah. But I mean, when I kept seeing Dallas pass on him, and then they passed on him again for Maris, which I'm happy with Maris. I think Maris is going to be a good player.
That boy was killing at the end of the last season.
Yeah, I like Maris a lot.
The one that I always think of that the mock drafts got wrong. Everybody was in on that kid from Georgia, the tight end that I think was Darnell. Was it Darnell Washington?
Yeah, he played for the Steelers.
He was almost had like the build of a tackle. So I think a lot of people were like, he could be a tight end or he could be a tackle. And a lot of people had him like, oh, he's going to be their end of first round. I don't think he ended up going to like maybe the third. I think of him all the time. And then the other one I think of is that D tackle from Florida State. I think his name was Marvin Wilson. He turned out not to be good. He was like the 5-star top defensive tackle. I don't even think he got drafted.
I'm gonna tell you somebody else, Nolan Smith. I never forget. Like people are like, oh, why is he falling?
Yeah. And
the truth is, remember, John. Oh, next Michael Parsons, he can get upfield. I'm telling you, bro. NFL teams, they don't. And now, like, what's coming back in vogue? Run game. If we have to take you off the field and switch personnel because you're just light. Now people are like, oh, he's starting to develop. Yeah, now because the Eagles' D-line is loaded and they can bring him along. But, that. So, yeah, Nolan Smith definitely is another name that is interesting. All right, let's go to the offense.
The key part here, too, with going back to what Schottenheimer says, he said, quote, game changer at 12 because you don't want to be drafting that high. Again, that's the hope that you're never bad enough to go that low. So he mentioned game changer. And so when I think of that, man, that really takes out offensive line for me. I mean, it's going to be hard for you to sell to me at the press conference after the first round if you took an offensive lineman that's the game changer you were getting. I find that hard to believe. And then also how much he was talking about how, Clayton Adams joking with him, like with all the moves they made, how much they were on defense. Like, I thought you were an offensive coach. Like, all of that lined up to me to, like, go right with what we've been saying the last few weeks on this show of, like, they're going offensive playmaker early in this draft.
Yeah, you guys, we've all. I think I played devil advocate, but it's starting to look that way. It's just about the right one. So let's switch this over to our offense, either or. And I'm going to start this off with AOC again, and we'll kind of. I think I want to do a positional, because we know it's going to be backs. We know we're getting the back, and so it won't be a first round or second round. So it'll just be like, what back would you prefer? Because we got to also think about this in the Cowboys life. So what back would you prefer in Dallas paired with the backs that we have? And there's no wrong answer. Whatever you guys feel is cool. So let's start with AOC, and we'll start with a receiver for AOC, 2 receivers. And I'm just going to give him a headliner because he texted me this, and he has some high-level thoughts, and it even got me to thinking. So let's give him the 2 headliners. Matthew Golden, AOC, or Teteroa McMillan. Do you want Tet? Do you want Matthew Golden, and why?
You about to be mad at me because I'm about to completely flip my answer. I'm going to completely flip my answer because I look at the draft about fits. I don't just look at players and I'm thinking about, oh, this is a great player. Like, look at all the traits. What are the fits on the team? What does the team currently have? When I look at the Dallas Cowboys, I see that they have CeeDee Lamb. I see that they have Jonathan Mingo. I see that they have Jalen Tolbert. I believe those 3 players are going to be on the field regardless. So whatever receiver they bring in has to complement what those guys aren't, right? CeeDee Lamb, he's an X in a slot, okay? About 60-40% X to slot. Then you got Mingo. He's naturally better at the slot, right? You got Mingo, who plays more of that slot X position. It's Tolbert, kind of like a tweener between a Z and a slot a little bit, but tries to play Z, which I don't think he really should be out there like that. So I'm looking for fit. I think that if you have Tet, you would have a log jam at that X position because I think Tet would be best playing the X spot because I believe that Z's demand or should be more of your explosive receiver. I believe that should be the guy that demands the defense to kind of play that off man on that side of the ball. So I'm going Matthew Golden, bro. I think Matthew Golden is the better, more natural fit for the Cowboys, and he fits the exact description of a number 2 that Steven and Shoddy laid out there as far as an explosive guy.
I got thoughts, but I'm gonna let anybody else want to push back.
I like the idea of just having CD and McMillan on the same side of the ball and just rotating them in different spots. I think McMillan can probably play a little bit of slot if it's absolutely needed from him.
Power slot.
And I just think that it would just create a lot of mismatches that you're not going to single up CD. And so you're going to let this monster just catch like possession ball after possession ball. Whereas like, I think you can use some of the down the field stuff with Kevontae Turpin. I think that Turpin will be used more in the offense than he was under Mike McCarthy. And so I think if I'm staying at 12, I'd rather have McMillan.
Are we sure Ted ain't just Alan Lazard with better highlights?
I'm sure.
I'm just saying, man. How great is, how great of a route runner is Ted?
The thing, and that's fine.
Because for you being a slot, you gotta be a technician. You know what I'm saying?
You do, and I think that
for wide open. But Dak has shown that he will throw when you're covered, and he hasn't even had a guy.
But that's what we're trying to get away. That's what we're trying to get away from. That's why we're trying to add weapons to the offense to get away from Dak having to throw into these pinhole tight. You see what I'm saying? Like that's to me. Tech gives you more of that.
I got to push back.
Tech gives you more of that.
I got to push back on this real quick. This ain't. I really like Dak Prescott. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think that he deserves all the money that he's been paid. I'm not trying to knock him, but like we got 9 seasons out here. Like there's no more coaching now. This is on you, bud. This is on you. And so if you want the bigger receiver and you want to throw into tight windows, you're not a kid anymore, man. This is your offense now. There's no more blaming coordinators. Everything that could possibly be thrown at you has been thrown at you. It's your time now. You have to do
now. Hold on. That don't make sense. That don't even make sense though. Hold on. If Dak is given the option between a guy that's going to create 2 or 3 yards of separation on any given route over a guy that's going to create maybe 1.5 yards of separation, you got to trust that he's going to make a possession catch. You think he's choosing a guy that he got to throw a more difficult ball to?
No, I think he wants to throw that ball. I'm saying I think he likes throwing that ball that is above the DB. Because of the bigger body guy.
No way. There's no quarterback that don't like throwing to wide open receivers. Bro.
You don't think there's any quarterback that doesn't want to throw to Ted McMillan?
Bro, wide open. They prefer receivers to be wide open than to throw it anywhere.
Riding wide open.
Man,
is Tyreek Hill in this draft? I don't think he is.
Hey,
Matthew Golden's like that. He ain't going to be
Matthew Golden would be open more times than Ted would be. Based off of just straight traits. Yes, they would.
No.
I'm not in on Ted like that. I ain't a lot of y'all.
I'm kicking the door in on
He's the best receiver in this draft because this is a weak receiver draft, bruh. That's why.
Okay, that's fine.
No,
that's your opinion. But this is how I fight back on Ted. And the problem,
McMillan is not Julio. That's for sure. He ain't Kelvin.
That's what I'm saying. So what is it? So if he's not any of those guys. What is Tet's ceiling? If you're not looking at him as potentially a Julio, what would his ceiling be? Is that size and that build of a receiver? What's his ceiling?
Bro, to me, his ceiling is Mike Evans.
Digit,
I like,
touchdowns.
bro, Ted McMillan is Mike Evans, bro. And it's kind of sad that people have gotten this deep into the woods with the separation thing. It happens every year. It happens
because I've been watching Dak throwing it to the highest.
I let you finish. I'm with you.
For years.
I understand.
I'm tired of watching that.
But let me ask you this: what is
that can get open? What we talking about all season, bro? Getting open, bro.
He can get open. And he's a big body. He's a big target, and he's fast. He's 4'5" fast and 6'5". Great wingspan. You know what else is NFL open? When you got a baby corner.
We got Mingo.
You gotta listen. You gotta listen, bro. You gotta listen. He has that Higgins vibe. In the red area, he's going to dunk on you. Like this guy, and he's had 2 years of outstanding production. Matthew Golden had a half of season, and it was 800 yards. And he's had a better quarterback, and that's not saying much because Quinn Ewers isn't great. The Arizona's quarterback for field, whatever, is awful. And so you talk about bad ball catcher. Tet is a terribly bad ball catcher. My whole point is I take him over Rome Odunze for sure. Now, is he better than Malik Neighbors? No. But I take him over Rome Odunze, and I think the problem is John said it best, AOC, and I'm with you because I love Matthew Golden, so I'm not downing Matthew Golden. And the fact that you switched, I don't even hate that because Matthew Golden could very well be a Cowboy, and I will be happy.
Yeah.
So this isn't me. This is not me arguing with you. This is me
what
arguing
about this, though, Foots?
Hold
what
on,
about
go
this,
ahead.
Foots? You get Tet, and then you pray for God that you can get Karen Lacey later in the draft. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I wouldn't hate that. I'm gonna throw one at AOC. I'm gonna throw one at AOC, and I don't know if you've watched him yet, AOC. So this may not be fair, but there's a kid by the name of Kyle Williams. He plays exactly like Tet, but the only thing is he was at Washington State, and he's actually had better production. And he wins the exact. I mean, not Tet. Excuse me, Matthew Golden. They play the same way, 5'10", same measurables. He's had better production. I will say the 4.29 is interesting with Golden. And if they want to get faster, they want to open the field up.
Man, go get Andrew Armstrong. Y'all won't take go get Andrew Armstrong.
Here's my thing about Tet. I'm not going to let the process, because people did this with Kyle Hamilton. People did this with Christian Gonzalez from the Pats. They did this with Jared Verse, John, your alma mater. They do this all the time because it's like, oh, separation. Let me draft Latu over Jared Verse, and Jared Verse goes out and he's the rookie of the year. I just think that with Tet, you have a guy that's NFL open because he has an NFL body. He's ready right now. I do not like that they said we're trying to find a number 2. Damn it, if you at 12, you need to find somebody who can be a number 1 at some point.
So you can't sign him in 4 years? No, they need to find a number 2.
No, you need to find somebody that if something happens to CD, AOC, I need somebody.
The Cowboys of guys have outplayed with the role that they're meant to be. That's why they can't keep some of these dudes. You need to get guys to play the roles that they supposed to be, bro. You can't.
But let me ask you this though, AOC,
because that's how you got guys leaving, bro, to get more money.
But AOC, let me ask you this: like, I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. Tet is better than Jalen Tolbert. He's better than Mingo.
I'm not arguing that.
So Mingo's
better than Tet. Mingo and Cowboy. Mingo and Cowboy. Mingo better than Tet.
You really do want to have that problem though that you just said, AOC. The best problem that you can have in today's NFL is that you have so many good players that you can't find a way to pay them all. So if you get a guy that is so good that you're like, I don't know how we're going to give this guy $38 million or whatever, but if he performs up to that level, you're probably a pretty good football team. So I'm fine with that.
Man, I'm tired of hearing Jerry and Steven talk about cap pie. So no, thank you.
I'm tired of covering a team that is just. I'm tired of covering a team that's just so bad in the middle that the roster has stars and then the middle is just kind of
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get as many good players as possible, and I'll figure out paying them like later on down the road. But I think that'd be a great problem to have is if McMillan's just so good. Particularly, I think, because where I think he makes the biggest impact is really in the red zone.
The red area.
I think you can throw so much stuff up to him, and that'll open up a ton of things. Because in between the 20s, that's when CD is going to eat, and he's still going to score a bunch of touchdowns, but McMillan, when they're in the red zone, I think that's where he separates himself from me.
I agree. I'm just tired of having chest palpitations, seeing balls getting thrown into like 3-inch windows. I'm tired of seeing that, man. Every game, I just
no. Hey, you know what though? This next one I got you, Law, for sure. But you want to know something though, AOC? When's the last time we've had a big body? It's probably been T.O. or Dez.
Noah Brown.
Yeah, or Noah Brown. Like, I just want them to say, "Damn, how we about to cover this?" Because
Rico Gathers.
We got to put our best corner on CD. Oh wait, CD's going to the slot, and we got this baby on Tet, and he can just box guys out. Like I
feel that.
Yeah. So, but
I mean, you can't make a wrong choice, man. You said either or, Foots.
I did. Okay.
God dang.
He's
a bad answer.
All right, here we go. And this is what we'll do. In this next one, we'll toss this one to John Machota, and we'll close out with Law Nation. John, we're gonna do 2 running backs here, and they won't be named Ashton Genty, so I won't go too deep in the woods. I don't know like who all you've watched, but before we get to that, no, I'm sucking on this read. This was terrible. What are the chances that we do get Ashton Genty? I would. He said, "Pause." I would definitely like.
Nah, for real,
I would love. I know. I said I'm sucking. Oh my god! I said it again. Pause that. Anyway,
we got a yellow mark on this video now. Thanks.
Ashton Genty being a Cowboy. I mean, hey, listen, man. BetUS TV, I like it. I like it. If he gets past Oakland law, you never know. So
I don't even have my mindset there no more, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Hey,
as
AOC.
soon as Pete Carroll, I love to run the ball ass went to Las Vegas, I was like, it's over.
AOC, if he's a Cowboy the next show, I'm cracking 2 eggs. This kid, man. I got 2 eggs, man. I love this kid, man. I'm coming on with it. But okay, so John, to close out, 2 running backs. Would you rather? I'm gonna give you both the Ohio State kids and tell me why. And this is a tricky one.
Yeah, that is.
It is. I knew it would be for you. Because I think we've fallen in love with Travion. But Quinshon Judkins is sneaky, especially from a complete runner and complete number 1 standpoint.
You have to go see if Judkins got to go off the field. He like one of them YNs.
This is tough.
He definitely do. Like he be wherever the hood is in Dallas. That's what he gonna be at. LC hanging with
that Oak Cliff shit.
Marshawn Lynch vibe, man.
He gonna be out there concert with Tarantino shit.
He in town right now. Quinshon.
Who you got, John?
Man, that's tough. I mean, who do you think could stay? Who do you think could stay healthiest the longest? Like who's got the best? Who's got the best chance to be on the field for the most amount of snaps? You know, so
and that's facts.
Judkins grew up off McDonald's. His body's calloused. I know he'll survive, bro.
Yeah, he'll survive.
He good,
and then you got Javonte Williams too. That combination is just gonna be power backs, man. As far as the angle,
I'm not mad at leaning on people though, Law.
Yeah, we're gonna be shoot.
Henderson's probably the better receiver, though.
Yeah. He is. That no doubt about that.
I would love to know because we never even got to the point of asking, like, getting any details about like Miles Sanders and like what they're expecting out of all of that. I just feel like if you're drafting a running back, like one of those two, it's probably at 44. And 44 is high enough for me to want a guy that I think could carry it 20 times. Like I would want like what they got from Tony Pollard. You know, Tony Pollard's like last couple of years, obviously, not when he was splitting with Zeke. So
I agree with that.
You said Henderson. You think Henderson's got the best chance of staying healthy?
No, Judkins.
I think Judkins do.
Body. I mean, that's 225, John.
I'm about to say he got that. He got a
injuries.
Gladiator body, man.
Yeah, he built the right way. No. He built the right way. AOC.
He built the right way on this.
Got the McDonald's nuggies.
And you think he'd be the better pass protector?
I do.
Well,
no. Henderson. Henderson actually,
right.
which is kind of weird. Henderson has injury history. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But Judkins gonna give you shades of Marion the Barbarian. Yeah. He's a good old Mississippi guy too. So you know how that goes. I'm biased.
Yeah, fine. We'll go with Judkins.
I'm
That's
cool.
fine.
I think
Marion,
they're gonna know. They're gonna.
That's a faster.
It won't be
Marion.
close to them. They'll know which one that they want if it came down to that. Yeah, because it's funny because I remember when we were talking about this stuff, like I don't know, probably like a month ago. You thought that you could possibly get Hampton there, and now Hampton's stock is raised so much that you could see him going top 15 now, because he was to me is like the clear number 2.
He going to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you though, John. I think you made the right choice, and I know there's a lot of people probably in the chat. So I'm not even looking at the chat. They're probably saying Henderson.
Yeah, saying Savion Williams. Thank you, Law.
I was actually going to give Law
Law Savion Williams or somebody.
I'm about to, yeah. But I was going to say
long time ago.
I was going to say, John, with Judkins, he could turn into a running back 1, and I don't know if Henderson would ever be your 1. Like I think he would always be your scat, come in and throw body blows, but would he ever be your lean on a team, play in, play out back? And I mean, listen, you know what's crazy, Law? Ole Miss Judkins was like, I felt like he was better than Ohio State Judkins. Like had more juice. But listen, for as crazy as Travion Henderson went down the stretch, Judkins was like really good as well. All right, Law, let's close out with you. This has been a great show, man. 330 people.
No. We'll close out with Law, but I'm gonna ask you one real quick, Fuds.
Yep.
They trade back. They're gonna take a receiver, but Golden and McMillan are gone. What receiver do you want?
Oh, it would be Mecca.
We'll say that they're at like 18 or 19. But both those receivers are gone.
Yeah, if you get another pick, John, it would be Emeka Egbuka. If like now, I will say this. I just saw a graphic in it. That's kind of what I saw on film, and I know Luther Burden has a big fan base, but the problem with Luther Burden, and this is what AOC would not like, he doesn't separate downfield. It's the same thing with Malachi Corley. So like those big yak guys in college, when everything's close to the line of scrimmage, but when you want to press the ball down the field, they haven't really had that coaching. And
top of the route.
And see, like Egbuka understands all that. He's the best blocker in the class, and he has a really high floor. Like you know what you're getting.
Where's Egbuka on the field?
AOC wants.
Where's Egbuka on the field?
He gonna lie.
People, there's another.
He's a slot, isn't he?
I think he can play both though. AOC. Like I think he can be a two. Like he can go out there and line up on the edge. And you may not want him to, but see, another thing is this: AOC can win on the edge.
I'm not taking CD Lamb out the slot for Egbuka, and I don't know if Egbuka is consistently winning outside enough to have him out there on the field with CD Lamb, even in 2 wide receiver sets.
So where would you go if you're in a trade back though? AOC is tough. You see what I'm saying? Because then you start reaching. That's when you start getting
Burden
into.
are the only ones. Yeah, for the
you
question
start getting
those
into.
are the only ones you even look at in the first round. You know,
That's a good question, John.
Yeah,
because if you go back to let's say 18. That's rich for Savion Law. Like that's rich for
hell no.
Yeah, that's rich for one of them guys.
Not bad
like,
Savion people, but come on, man. Yeah. Come on, man.
That's rich, John. That's rich to if you go back, if you going back there, I'm gonna say this. Now, y'all heard it here first. I might go Kyle Williams. But see, that is one of those underground. That's my cat because he's built like pause that, man. He's actually built like a slot. He's built like a slot only, but he actually had. You know what's crazy about this? When he walks away, he just like fades off into. You can't even see what he's doing. It's the green screen. All right, let's go. Law, close this out.
Man, talk about something. That's my cat. Hold
on. Let's close out with Law Nation.
Law, you either go. You get Jackson Dart or no. I'm sorry. Go on.
I'm gonna do two receivers. I'm gonna do two receivers. I'm gonna do. Actually, you know what? This one I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do Luther Burden for you, Law, and I'm gonna do Savion Williams.
That's too easy.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah,
that's too easy, man.
How's that easy?
Do Savion and Trey.
I like Luther. I like Luther Burden over Savion because
no. Okay. I got a better one. I got it.
Okay.
They said that's easy. That's messed up.
That's way too easy.
Here we go. Law. If it gets to the third round and they haven't drafted a running back, give us a third round running back that you think could be there, that you think would be a good get, that could potentially be their lead guy this year. Is there anybody that could even fit that?
I think Tut probably be there. Dylan Sampson will probably be there. Third round.
What about Damian Martinez?
Yeah.
Blue would have to draft him.
Can they
in the
risk
third.
doing that, or do they have to have one by 44?
Jaden Blue. Yeah, that would be nice for us because he could either be.
John said, "Can they risk that though, Law?
Yeah, can they risk waiting to the third?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. I want them to go either wide receiver, running back on the first two, but yeah, they can probably risk it. But
I don't think
it'd be a must because you can't wait. You can't play around with it and go first 3 picks without getting a
Law. I got to tell you, we're not the only team that's thinking about running backs, y'all. Like especially at the sweet spot. So like once these guys start going off the board,
how many backs you think go? How many teams are drafting running backs in the first 3 rounds of this draft?
Let's look at it.
Maybe 6 or 7.
Washington. We can't go through all the teams, but I would say 6 or 7.
I'd say maybe 6
or 7.
So then you're getting into guys like a RJ Harvey or Damian Martinez. Then you start to look, those are still really good back. Like he said, Dylan Sepp, Jaden Blue. Like I'm fine with any of those, but this is an extremely deep running back class. There are like 30 draftable running backs in my opinion, bro.
And no, they're actually, and you know what's good? What's helping your point, AOC, is that the D-line class is really good. So that being so deep, because people are going to want to get the end edge 2-3 tech. Like there's some good edges in the second round.
I think that this draft, it would have been perfect to draft a running back at the 4th.
Yeah, Ollie Gordon's still floating around out there. Nobody likes it anymore because he's the size of a linebacker.
Your defensive tackle in the 3rd. You can't wait. I don't think you can wait to the 4th and the 5th to get a good solid defensive tackle.
I agree, Lo.
Yeah. If you were to play that game of not drafting a running back, I think you could have waited to the 4th this year.
See, it said only 21 likes. Oh no, see, yo still spazzing out. That would be diabolical. I was about to leave. I'm bringing the show down. Let me get up out of here.
All right,
Yes,
Sid just brought us out. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Thank you for an amazing show to this crew, man. This was a good week. We got that Joe Milton news, and it kind of pushed us through. So we're getting closer to the draft. Next week, we'll be talking 30 visits. We'll be talking more news. I still am kind of with AOC as far as I was about to say I don't think they're done. So hopefully they're not, and Law will be smashing egg and not AOC. So that's all we got.
Talk.
Does anybody have any closing thoughts before we go?
John, are you gonna be able to start tomorrow?
I'm not. No, are you going up there?
Yeah, I'm going up there for the for the Paul deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jake
Yeah,
Paul?
no.
No.
I might be going to San Antonio tomorrow.
The defensive back. This is Dallas Day, I believe, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us know when you get up there. Let us know what's going on. You can talk about it on the show next week.
Most certainly.
All right, man. Much love, y'all. Peace.